of Hilchos Ishus. The rabbis the rabbis gave a mandate that a person should give a little bit of money to his daughter that she could get married with, and that is called parnasa. If you marry off your daughter, you should at least give her the clothing that they give to a poor girl, as it's brought. And when do we say this? When the father's poor. But if he's rich, then he has to give according to his wealth. If he says he doesn't have anything, and he should take her, if the tells the husband that she doesn't have anything, then she doesn't have anything, and he can't say. He shouldn't tell the husband, when she comes to my house, I will give her clothing. Rather, she should have clothing in her father's house. A father who dies and he leaves a daughter, you try and think how much would he give his daughter, right? So even though we said that biblically he doesn't have to give anything, the rabbi said he has to provide food for her, and they should try and give try and estimate how much he would give his daughter. And how do we know that? We ask his friends. I don't know. We take a poll, and we try and figure out how much he would give. Similarly, if he married her in his lifetime, we calculate. And if we don't, we could look at another daughter, how much he gave that other daughter, right? And if we don't know, you give her a tenth to her parnasa. He has many daughters in this case, so you give a tenth, and then afterwards a tenth of what's left over, etc., etc. And if they all come to get married at once, the first one takes a tenth, and the second one takes what's left from the third, and then the first one takes a tenth, second one takes what's left over, the third one takes what's left over from the second, even if they're 10. And then they go and they divide all the tenths equally, and all the brothers get the rest of the stuff. This is not a condition in the ketubah. It's a condition from the rabbis, and therefore you don't take it from real estate. However, they could take it from rented real estate. And if the brothers want to give her money from the amount of the fields, they give her. A daughter with this thing is like she's like a creditor of the brothers, and therefore she can take it from the middle quality fields without swearing. And if the brothers die, she could take it from their kids from the lower quality with swearing, because she gets to get paid by the orphans. And someone who gets from orphan, if you're taking money from orphans, then you take from the lower quality. Brothers that sold, or they mortgaged the fields of their father, the daughter takes from the people who the customers for parnasa, just like she could take from other people that from the people who owe. Someone who marries her daughter, older daughter, and she has younger daughters, and then he dies without a son, they don't take someone who married his older daughter and only has younger daughters, and he dies without a son, they don't take parnasa for the younger ones and afterwards divide it. Rather, first they divide the property equally. All right, someone who died and he has two daughters and a son, and the first one comes and takes the isser, a tenth, and there's not enough for the second one. There's no time. The second one doesn't have the opportunity until the son dies, and if the property falls to both of them, the second one doesn't take an isser. They divide it equally, and the first one gets her tenth. Someone who says, "Do not give my daughters anything after I die," he has the rights to do that, even though because it's not a biblical decree that he has to, it's a rabbinic decree. Someone who dies and he has a widow and a daughter. We already said that the widow gets food first before the daughter. Similarly, if he marries the daughter, she doesn't take a tenth because the widow has to take money. And even if the daughter, even if the daughter dies after she's married, the husband doesn't get the parnasa that he could have given to her, because everything we assume we give to the widow of the first husband. Okay, in the story. Okay, a young lady, she's not even 12 yet, and she's a orphan, her father died, and her mother or her brother sells her with her agreement, and they give her 100 or 50 zuz. She's able to take parnasa, the proper parnasa, when she gets older, either through calculating what the father would give or a tenth. And even if she doesn't have brothers supporting her, even though she agreed to get married with that, because a child, she could have been forced into the marriage. So therefore, she could have been forced into the marriage. So therefore, when she protests, it's not considered a protest. Okay, if a daughter gets married after she grows up, whether she is a naira, she's a young lady, or a begaris, or considered an adult, and she doesn't demand her parnasa, she loses it. And if when she's marrying, she says, "Hey, I want it," then you take it to her anytime she wants. If she's older, still living in his father's house, whether she grew up after he died, or he died and she was already an adult, if they gave her the mazonos, because she doesn't have mazonos, right? So we said that only when she's younger do the brothers have to give her from the estate to feed. But if she's older, they don't have to. So let's say the brothers did it, and she was quiet. She didn't demand parnasa. She loses it. And if she protests and says, "Hey, I want to make sure I get my parnasa," then she gets it. Okay. If the brothers did not give her food, and they did not give her food, and she had her own sustenance, even though she didn't protest, she doesn't lose it as long as they didn't set her amount for food, but they're giving her food, and even though she didn't protest, she doesn't lose it as long as they're supporting her, because she could say, you guys don't have to do it, and I'm not married, and that's why I didn't demand my dowry. Kinderlach. Okay, someone who says to give to their daughter a certain amount of money to parnasa and to take from the field, whether he's on his deathbed or he's healthy and he dies, and the money is in the hand of a third party, and she says, "Give it to my husband anytime you want to." If she's older and married, she can say that, and if she's engaged, then the third party should do what's given to him why it's given to him in his hands. And if she's young, even if she's married, you don't listen to her. The third party does whatever he was told to do by the father. Okay, we'll stop here. That's the end of this. Now we'll go on to Kitzer Shulchan Aruch. Yeah.
Dowries are a halachic matter?
Somewhat.
I would think.
But they didn't make it an obligation. In other words, if you don't give it or you decide to give something else, you have those rights. So the rabbi said you should do it. That's the status of them. Now, what is the dowry? There might be different customs of what the dowry is, but even the original law that we're talking about here, the origin, even that is it's a rabbinical mitzvah, but it's not an obligation. So especially if someone has means, if someone has no means, so then obviously he can't. No means, then it's understood that he can't give.
If a family has only daughters and no sons, then the stuff we discussed the other day in how the fields and such are divided, do they follow what would have been the case if there were sons, or is it?
I'm not sure I get your question.
The inheritance, the son is entitled to the father's assets.
Yeah, correct.
But
So now, the daughter can demand from the son. We said today she can demand her parnasa if she's single.
If there are no sons,
Yeah.
then how does the inheritance work?
Well, you have the next heir. Everyone has the next
that's
heir.
fine.
Yeah.
So okay, that's what I.
All right, let's go. We are chapter 14, law number 7. So what we were talking about is someone came late to shul. So we said if you come late to shul, now there are different traditions in this, But in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch tradition, you can skip because it's a mitzvah to daven with a minyan. So you can skip to a point of the minyan, but you still can't skip certain things. Right? We're holding chapter 7. You got it?
I'm on chapter 14.
Chapter 14, law number 7.
Oh, 7,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought you said 11.
So
I haven't looked at
last
10.
time we said you have to say al natilat yadayim. You have to wash your hands properly and say al natilat yadayim before, so that even if you walk in the shul late, you have to go to the sink and wash. You have to say Elokai neshama. That's a prayer in the beginning where you thank God for giving your soul. That's not the modani. That's a little bit after the modani. Elokai neshama is actually the prayer we mentioned earlier that you would say right away when you wake up. But the reason why we don't is because our hands are dirty and we're saying God's name. And Moda'ani, we're not saying God's name. And also, you have to say Shema and its blessings. And that has to be done before the Shemona Esrei, Shema and its blessings. So even if no matter how late you are, you have to say those things. And then you can say the Pesukei de Zimra, the Psalms at the beginning of prayer, which go until then, and the Song at Sea and everything. You could say those after the Shemona Esrei. So in other words, you're supposed to say everything, but you can switch the order around if you come into shul and they're already davening. So that is law number 6. Now law number 7. V'lachem la'achar sha'amar shalosh brachos in his karsel. After one recited the 3 blessings listed above, v'heiniach talis to tefillin. So you have to also put your talis in tefillin. Im raya ki ein loy oidzman. If he sees he won't have enough time, sheyuchal agia lispal shmin esrei metzibur. So those are the things, those prayers and talis and tefillin. Those are the things you have to do. So if you see I'm rushing through, I did all these things, I still don't have enough time to catch up. Elik shidalig v'yaschol v'virchas yotzar. Unless he skips and starts with the blessing yotzar, aza yaschol sham. So then he can skip. He could skip until the blessings of the Shema. If he realizes you have a little bit of time to catch up, he should say first Baruch Shamar and Ashrei. Dahainu Shem Kadshe Le'elam Vad, which until the concluding verse of Ashrei, and then skip to V'yishtabach, and then say that before the blessings of the Shema. So again, this is. If you have even more time, if you realize you won't have enough time to catch it for Shemona Esrei, the most important part is to be davening with the minyan, doing the Amidah with everybody else. So the most important thing is to do the Amidah with the minyan. So if you have time, you can skip. If you don't have time, you can skip Sukkot de Zimra. If you do have time, you should add in Baruch Shamar and Tilul David. And furthermore, and Yishtabach. And furthermore, you have to also include your talis and tefillin putting it on. So, Yeshle Zman Yosef, if you have a little bit more time, Yomer Halu Ka Halu El B'Kachay, until Kol and Neshama Tahal Ka Haluka. Now it's going on. If you have a little bit more time, now obviously you have to try and figure out in your mind. They're holding here, how fast can I do if I skip these things? Yeshle Oidzman, if you have more time, you should say the other Halukas. Yesh le'odzman yoser yomer gam ve'varach David al Hashem tifartecha. Im yesh le'odzman yoser yomer gam hoidu va'ad v'hu rachum v'dalig v'hu rachum shekoydem Ashrei. You can skip the v'hu rachum before Ashrei. V'sham maschil yaschil and begin reciting. V'az mizmorim shemasiz m'shavas yevtem im ein le'zman l'amram azay kol mizmorim p'sukim sharim ma'isam kol yem lam kedima. If it's Shabbos morning has a bunch more psalms at the beginning. So if it's Shabbos morning, what you could do is you're allowed to skip all the Shabbos stuff. And the weekday stuff takes precedence. The weekday stuff that we say on Shabbos takes precedence over the Shabbos stuff if you are close on time. And if you have time to say from the extra psalms from Shabbos, nearly, it seems to me, the Shabbos Yom Kippur, Mizmor Shir Yom Shabbos V'Halal Gadol. It seems to me that Mizmor Shir Yom Shabbos, which we say right after Baruch Shamar, and Halal Gadol, which we say right before Hodol Hashem Ki Tov, that has precedence. Lahem Kedima. Toiv Lahalal Gadol Levad Hakdima. And other festivals, only the great song of praise has precedence. So there's a special psalm for Shabbos. On Shabbos and Yom Kippur, that has precedence. On other holidays, it doesn't have precedence. And afterwards you say, Lam Latzeach, L'dav L'Shadoisi, these are the Shabbos praise, Tefillah L'Moshe, V'cholim Mizraim, P'sukim Yom Rekoidem, Shishtavach, Ula'achar. This is important. After you finish the Shemona Esrei, Yashim Kol Ma Shedileg, you should complete what you have skipped. Rak Baruch Sha'amar Yishtabach, Baruch Sha'amar Yishtabach, you do not say after you prayed. V'im Raya. But if you see, Shafil and Yaskal Baruch Yitzhar, La Yuchal Yispal Shemona Esrei Matzivar, Elam Ken Yamar, Tevla Yoisel Yispal B'fnei Atzmai, because if you see, to catch the Amida, I even if I say the Shema blessings, I'm not going to make it unless I go very fast. It's better to pray by yourself, Kased Messinas. Then what you should do is you should just go and pray in order. Pray in order and be late. So this is it sounds really confusing, but if you get used to the prayer, it's not so. We have precedence of the blessings of Shema. Then we have Baruch Sha'amar and Yishtabach. Baruch Shamar Ashrei and Yishtabach, then the last Hallelujah, and then the other Hallelujahs, those all take precedence over the Shabbos ones. The Shabbos ones take precedence Mizmor Shir, Liyam Shabbos, and what we call Hallel Hagadol. And then after that you have Lam Natzech, L'David Shanesa, Til David, and Hoidu. So those are the order. Now that's why if you come on time, you don't have a problem. If you're going to be late and you realize you're not going to be able to make it, then you should better just pray everything slowly. And if you skip things, only Baruch Shamar and Yishtabach are the only things that you don't say after Shemona Esrei. You don't say that after the Amidah, but everything else you should fill in and say after the Amidah. Okay, now that looks really confusing. There's actually charts of it. The Chabad tradition is just to always say everything in order, even if you're late.
So you'd be praying by yourself.
You'd be praying by yourself. You'd be, what you should do technically is answer whatever the minyan is. You should answer the minyan, and answer all the amens of the minyan. That's what you should do, and then pray after. That's really the most right thing to do. You'll come home late, but that's the proper thing to do. In Baal Beis HaKnesses, if you come to synagogue, and they started praying. You don't have a talis and tefillin, but he expects that you'll get one. You can start the prayers without a talis or tefillin. When you get your talis and tefillin, you should wait till after Yishtabach, because you're not allowed to say and make a blessing. If you're worried, what if I put on my tefillin and I'm going to take time to put my tefillin and talis? So you should wait to put your talis on. Here it says, wait to put your talis on until after Yishtabach and your tefillin off till after Yishtabach, because you can't make the blessing during the Pesukei de Zimra on those things, and you can make the blessing after Yishtabach. There's like a switch in prayer. We switch from Pesukei de Zimra to the blessings of Shema, and that is a ideal moment to make a blessing on your talis and tefillin. If you fear, when I putting my talis and tefillin on, it's going to take time, so I'm going to miss praying with the minyan. Yisakev Yedalig min v'hurachim shavhoida. Then you can skip prayers. Ad v'hurachim. You skip from v'hurachim and hoidu until v'hurachim before Ashrei. Oymin v'yosha ad yishtabach. Or from the song at sea, you could skip out v'lo yoymar rak mizmayim rekim. You should only say the main songs that we mentioned in the previous law. Kadesh yipnai lanichem la'achashu amar yishtabach. Shkoidim shoyem shdech tzivakash. If you realize you're going to be late, if I wait to put my tefillin on, I'm going to be late. So what do? You skip some of the psalms at Pesukei de Zimra, the secondary ones, and then you'll get to the blessings of Shema faster, and then you put on before the blessing of the Shema. You got it?
I hope so.
Yeah. So that's an important thing. If you're putting on tefillin in the middle of prayers, you can't make a blessing after Baruch Shamar, because remember, you're not allowed to speak after Baruch Shamar. So you cannot make a blessing on talis and tefillin until after the end of Pesukei de Zimra, before the blessings of Shema. And then once you have the blessings of Shema, and we can continue on. We have some more time.
What time is it?
Once you have 9:44, you can after the blessings of Shema. After the blessings of Shema, you cannot, once you begin them, you cannot make a blessing on your talis and tefillin until after the Amidah. So that's the moment of making a blessing on your talis and tefillin. And if you feel that you're not going to make the Amidah, which is the most important thing to do, with the minyan, so then you can skip part of Psukei the Zimra. And it seems like the song at sea is one of the first things you could skip. The paragraph before Ashrei is a primary thing to skip. And then, as you go, there's certain ones which are more important, like Baruch Shamar and Yishtabach are the most important. And then there are other ones that are less important. Ashrei is important. Ashrei is of secondary importance.
I have an unrelated.
And that's why in the Siddur, actually, in Ashrei, if you don't concentrate during the verse that it says you have to concentrate for, it says you have to actually go back, right? Yeah.
Which is why we don't do the repetition, right, of the Amida when we pray in the mornings here. Because
Well, we don't have a minion. We don't have a minion.
Oh, I
That's
see.
the reason why.
I see.
And actually, the next laws are already the laws of Kaddish and a minion and everything like that, which.
I had a
Yeah,
misunderstanding.
we would do the repetition.
Yeah. What's your question?
We would be happy to do every repetition.
Yeah.
So I'll ask the question. Is there a Hasidic nigun for Sim Shalom?
Yeah, but it doesn't really fit in with Sim Shalom.
Mm.
It's more ayayay. Yeah. That's the one. It's more like.
Everyone just
it's
thinks
mo-
ayayay.
Everyone just sings ayayay with it. Yeah, it doesn't really fit the words. And then like
It does.
770, they do sing Sim Shalom. Most of the most
It's a
songs,
holocaust.
Mendel, you're interrupting. Most songs for Sim Shalom have a big problem that they repeat, and the Chazan during the Amidah is not allowed to repeat any of the words. That's a problem with a lot of the songs and prayers. They repeat the words, and that has halachic problems with it.
We used to sing Sim Shalom.
Here?
Not here.
Well, yeah, was it a song that repeated the words?
In the I'm trying to remember. In
That's
the
why I was
repetition-
Yeah. So there are many songs for it, but a lot of the songs, the problem is they repeat the words, which the Chazan isn't allowed to repeat. You're not supposed to repeat words because if you're not allowed to speak between Baruch Shamar and the end of the Amidah. So when you repeat words, it's like speaking,
But
according
when
to
you
law.
have a repetition of the Amida, you could sing Sim Shalom, no?
If it doesn't repeat any word, if the tune doesn't repeat any words.
Oh.
So let's say some places they'll be
I
like
understand.
sim shal, right? You're repeating the words. That's like
Okay.
speaking during the Amidah.
I didn't understand what you meant by that.
Yeah, so there are halachic issues with repeating words.
So, there isn't, so, let me rephrase my question. Is there a nigun that does not repeat the words?
So it doesn't really fit in with the words. So let's say in 770 they start what Mendel saying, and they start sim shal, and everyone just sings
only the
ay ay
Chazan, only the
ay. No,
Chazan.
right, not true. Yeah, so
Only
you're
the
interrupting.
Chazan
No,
says
it's not
it
true. You're
was
wrong. You're
the
simply
word.
wrong. The Chazan says it in an undertone with the words, and everyone just sings ay ay ay. So it doesn't. There isn't. I don't really know of one that actually a tune that actually has sim shalom, which without repeating the words. Someone could write one, but I'm not aware of one.
Okay, that was my
Yeah,
question.
yeah. So
It's just nice.
So a lot of people don't realize that a lot of the songs that people sing in shuls have repetition. They're repeating the words, which some opinions say it's not so bad, but it's like speaking during davening. So some people are very careful, like they won't sing v'ne'emar v'hayash, and they won't sing that because it says bayamahu, which is technically a problem. Now the thing is, please don't interrupt. Now the thing is that that is after Baruch Sha'amar, and it's part of prayer, so it's not so bad. But if that was between Baruch Sha'amar, that's after the Amidah. But if that was between Baruch Sha'amar and the end of the Amidah, that would be a halachic problem.
Okay, I didn't think about the repetition of the words.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand, I misunderstood.
Yeah. So that would be the issue. Yes, Mendel.
The issue with saying by your is it's a pasuk and you're saying Hashem's name with it. So a lot of my friends just say, yeah,
Correct. It's better to do that.
So why don't you do it?
Maybe one day we'll start that. It's just
I just say,
when
yeah,
people.
You do
So
that.
so that's
Second
so like
time.
also like there's a lot of times that you're not supposed to well it's halachic problem to speak during davening. You're not allowed to speak. You're interrupting. There's a halachic problem to speak during davening, which is from Baruch Sha'amar till after the Amidah. So if you repeat a verse or you repeat a word in a verse, according to a lot of opinions, that will constitute speaking during davening, making a separation in the verses, separation in the words. So that is why like people saying Yismichu v'malchuzacha shomrei 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 shav. So that for the chazan, for everyone to sing that wouldn't be a problem because they're not leading, they're not actually praying then, they're just listening. But for the chazan to say that could potentially constitute a halachic issue. Yes, that's the answer to that question.
Interesting, because at Beth Tefillah, we did say.
So
I have to remember if it did repeat.
likely
But in the
like
conservative synagogue, they absolutely repeat.
well, so likely in Beth Tefillah, they're modern Orthodox, so a lot of times they tend to rely on the more lenient opinions. Rely on more lenient opinions. But for me, just to sing a little bit more doesn't justify relying on the lenient opinions.
No, I get
Yeah.
that, I understand that.
Yeah.
Now, would it be different if a child, because at Beth Tefillah, they would have a kid come up to the meeting.
Sing Sim Shalom.
Yeah.
I can't imagine singing Sim Shalom because that's in the Chazan's Amida. They maybe have a kid
I can
sing.
sing.
They maybe have a kid sing Ein Kelokenu, and
Oh, yeah, kids sit shallow while you
The other
say
I
thing-
can't imagine that.
Anim
I can't
Zemirot,
imagine either.
Well, that's not the Chabad
It's not
custom
a
to sing.
Chabad
Yeah.
thing.
So yeah, they probably sing Anim Zmirot and Ein Kelokenu and Aleinu maybe, but Sim Shalom is during the Amida. It's during the repetition of the Amida. So that would be probably.
I have to go back to Beth Tefillah.
If you're singing a song, you can repeat it, but if it's during prayers, it has halachic ramifications.
Because Avraham Albrecht was the cousin.
So a lot of times those chazanim, like trained chazanim, they don't really care about the law so much. That's just the way it is.
I was thinking, he certainly, well, he presented himself as a Hasidic type of guy. And his